Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will explain to you how to make a very beautiful beach bag, the model of which belongs to a famous brand. It is so easy and enjoyable to make. I am sure that even those who start knitting for the first time can do it very easily. So you can easily prepare such a work in one day. Look, I want to show you our model closely. In the section you see with the handrail, it says summer bag. It was embroidered, but you can make your own special embroidery. You can make decorations. Again, I shared these details with you step by step in the video. This beach sling was sold in the kids section. In other words, it is a beach extravaganza prepared for children. So I made it just 1 centimeter smaller than the original size, so we can say that they are the same size. We can say that they are on the same lines. I shared with you step by step the measurements and how much rope I used. It's a very deep bag. So I can say that it is the daily bag size for us. How can you enlarge it if you want to use it as an adult, that is, as a large size beach bag? I shared all the details with you step by step in the video. Look, the back part is caged like this. There is a handrail point on its part. It is a very enjoyable model whose side bellows also consist of cages. I had incredible fun while working, especially if you are going to work with this type of cage bag. I recommend you to use Spaghetti Aid cotton macrame rope. This model is really beautiful with this yarn. After I finished my bag, I also steam ironed it. It was an incredibly beautiful view, so it was a nice project that I was very happy with. I hope you like it and try it too. Before moving on to our detailed recipe, I would like to make a small request from you. You can subscribe to our channel for free. I would be really happy if you like the video and leave your comments. Let's move on to our recipe. I used 2 pieces of Spaghetti Yarn's cotton macrame yarn for my bag. I would like to show you the feature of the rope. Its blend is 80% cotton, 20% polyester, weighs 250 grams, and is 250 meters long. As I said, I used 2 pieces. Its content is very high quality yarn. I am very pleased. This kind of mesh works made with these threads look amazing. I have previously shared a model knitted in a single piece in a cage like this. Again, I put the picture on the screen and add the link in the description below. You can also look from there. If you want to work on a mesh model like this, if you want to make a large-sized work starting from the base, I worked in green color like this. You can also watch and apply that recipe. Actually, I still use it. A very useful and beautiful bag. Now here I would like to tell you the original dimensions of the bag. The width of the bag is 35 centimeters at its width and 31 centimeters in length. The width of this side bellows was stated as 13 centimeters on the website. This is sold as a children's beach bag. So I saw this model in the kids section. So it is not for adults, but you can easily prepare it for adults as well. I'm preparing this for my daughter too. Look, it says summer back on the front. Instead of writing summer back, you can make any embroidery you want specifically for your daughter or child. You can also make different embroideries and decorations here. It doesn't have to be the same, which is what I'm thinking of doing. I left this blank. I plan to do something different like this here when I have free time. But how is this technique applied here? I will show you this too. As I said, it was originally written as summer bag with embroidery and machine work. It's your choice whether to write or not. Now I would like to tell you my measurements. Look, we will work on a caged weave. We have 2 rectangular pieces. One forms the front and the other forms the back. We also have a wide side bellows. The width of my side bellows is 10 centimeters. This part of me means both parts of me are the same size. It was 34 centimeters wide and 30 centimeters long. My measurements were like this. I worked a little smaller. Here I would like to immediately describe to you how he did it. Look, we will immediately start creating our cages with chains. I take my rope aside like this. Here I want to show you the handle right away. I knitted one of the handles. We will knit the second one together. We will also prepare a handle made of our own yarn for our bag. It is a very easy and enjoyable work. Now I would like to tell you how many cages I made. I created 31 cages in total, including the first chain with 31 chains, 21 in length. These numbers may differ for you. You can enlarge or reduce the newest size as much as you want. How do we do this now? Let's move on to describing it. My crochet number will be 3.5 millimeters. You can determine your crochet number according to the thinness and thickness of your own yarn, the density and looseness of your knitting. We start immediately with the chain. I didn't bother counting chains here. I prepared my chains by pulling them until they reached the size I wanted and 5-10 centimeters more than that. As I said, it was about 5-10 centimeters more than what I knitted. We pull our starting chains so that they are a little looser than the setting we knitted. If you don't pull our chains a little too loosely, it can cause contraction in the lower part like this. The top is open and the bottom is narrow. It is also worth mentioning this. If you pull it too loosely, it will spread. It is also worth mentioning this. Now we will turn the reverse part of our chain, not the straight part. Imagine if I took a long shot of this. Look, you can draw as many chains as you want here. I took too much here. I had an increasing chain. I can easily remove this later by cutting or removing it. Now I reverse the chain. Look, there is a reverse part and dashed lines. I wrapped it around the beginning of the hook, leaving the 1, 2, 3, 4 chain at the beginning and 5. I make a loop by sinking into the chain. It has 3 stitches. I wrap them all together. I created a double handrail by knitting them together. I draw a chain, I wrap it, I left a gap, and by sinking into the back cut line of the next chain, I removed a loop. I knit a double handrail. Look, I wrapped a chain, left a gap, and added a double handrail to the next one. This is how we make our cages. We knit 1, 2, 3, 4 together with the chain at the beginning. I made 31. You can extend this as long as you want, the length of your hand. Let's knit a little more chain, leaving a gap and sinking into the next chain. We create our cages with double handrails. The next one is a double handrail. Look at it like this. Let's dive into the last chain there. We knit our cages like this. For the fight, we chain 1, 2, 3, 4 and turn our knitting. We wrap it around the head of our crochet hook, sink into the handrail that comes after the chain, remove the loop at the top and knit a double handrail again. The reason we draw 4 chains here is 3 chains in 1 handrail. It gives us 1 chain space in the 4th chain. That's why we draw 4 chains. We wrapped 1 chain again. Look, we are not touching a chain. We knit a double handrail by sinking into the handrail each time. We create our cage in the form of a double handrail by skipping the chain and sinking into the handrail, and a chain in the form of a handrail and a handrail. Look, this is the last chained point left here. We draw a chain. We complete this point by leaving 1 chain here and sinking into the 2nd chain and knitting a double handrail. For the return, we pull 2, 3, 4 chains again and turn the knitting around. Look here, we sink to the incoming handrail point and knit a double handrail. Again, with the same logic, at this last point, we will leave a chain and sink into the 2nd chain and complete our cage knitting by knitting a handrail. I want me to describe this point to you. There's nothing here either. A handrail to the chained point, handrail upon handrail. Knitting will continue in the same way, 2 rows. After the 2nd row, we will continue to install the same cages again. Now look, let's do it this way. Let's make a chain and 2 cages. Let's show you how we fill the middle part with a banister. Now look, we left 2 cages here and then 2 more cages. Here I counted the handrails as follows: 2, 4, 6. After 8 handrails, I knitted a complete handrail. Here again, I left 8 handrails from the bottom part, 1, 2 after the 3rd row. I set up the handrail like this. You can move it to the order you want. Now, how do we do it here? Look at the handrail point. We left 2 cages. The handrail was difficult. Now we sink into a 1 chain gap. We knit a double handrail in the wide gap. We come over the handrail and weave a handrail. We wrap it around the 1 chain gap, handrail on the handrail. Now we need to leave the same number of cages on this side as we did in the last 2 so that they are equal. We pull a chain and sink into the banister. We created the first cage. A chain again. Since there is a point of 4 chains, we are knitting a double handrail by leaving 1 chain after the handrail and sinking into the 2nd chain. At the beginning and at the end, let me show you 2 like this. We left the cage. Now we continue. We create our cage by pulling 1, 2, 3, 4 chains and turning our knitting, sinking into the coming railing. A chain again. Look, there are points with handrails here. I immediately sink into the banister. I created 2 cages. Look, we are passing this row by knitting banisters on top of the banisters. Let's knit quickly. It has a very simple logic. but it is useful to explain it in detail for those who are starting out for the first time. I think those who know have already passed this part quickly, but it is useful to explain it in detail for those who do not know. Look, we knitted banisters on banisters. Now there should be as many handrails on the upper part as you have knitted on the lower part. We finish with 2 boxes by sinking a chain into the next railing. We stuck to the second chain and created our box. We turn our 4 chain knitting again. We knit a double handrail by sinking into the incoming handrail. A chain. Look now. At first we were knitting 2. Now we will continue by creating the boxes of these handrails as before, as in the second row. Generally, we sink into the first banister and knit a banister, a chain. We got around, we create our box by leaving 1 handrail and sinking into the next one and knitting the handrail, a chain. We created our boxes by leaving a gap and knitting a handrail over the next one. Then the same knitting continues again, a chain. Look at it in the form of a handrail. This is how we create our cages. As I said, the numbers here are 8. I left them at the beginning and the end. And in the 3rd row, that is, in the 4th row, we created a handrail point. I prepared 4 and 5 by knitting 2 rows of handrails like this. In the original, I left 1 more row, but I clicked like this. I prepared it this way because I wanted it to be lower, and I gave you the numbers. I want to show you this sidebar right away. Look, I created 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 boxes inside the side bellows and prepared the side bellows to be 10 centimeters wide. We will proceed to combine these 2 parts together with the side bellows. I will immediately explain to you how we put it together. Here, the first row of my side bellows, as you can see from the first skirt part, is the first point I started with. Now this is the front part. Here, it is assembled from the flat. Now it's the flat part of the bag. Look, this is the sidebar. I'm also bringing the sidebar with the outer part facing the flat side. Look, the cages are already overlapping. Now I take my rope here. I immediately create a loop with a chain. After creating this loop, first look here, there is the last handrail point. I sink into this handrail. In the piece, I knit a single crochet right here, sinking into the banister. Then I pierce the banisters opposite each other, that is, look at the tops of the pieces. I knit by dipping into the tops of both pieces. Then I come to the wide space. I sink into both boxes at the same time. Look, I sink into the box point at the bellows part of the front box and knit a single crochet at this point. Look at the point where it joins. I sink into this part, and in the opposite piece, I knit single needles by dipping mutually into the space at the bottom of the box. Then I come, insert a single needle into the space where the box is, and immediately place a single needle on the top of the banisters. And we join it with the single needle technique. We directly sink, remove the loop, and knit single needles. Look like this. We will join it with the single needle technique by sinking into the same spaces opposite each other as I have described to you. Look, I will turn these 3 edges in the same way and join the side blind. We will combine our bellows technique with our technique. After assembling the bellows, we will finish our bag by knitting our handle and placing our handle. Look, I do this while assembling this base part. Here, each box coincides with each other on this edge, but not so here. We combine until the last box. Then look, I want to show you right here. I am sinking into the void of a chain. Look, I go into the next box, I knit single crochet, I go to the handrail point right next to it, I sink to this chain point, I come to the same box and knit a single crochet, then I come to another chain space. Look, I go to the next box, I go to the next box, single crochet, then I come to the handrail point, single crochet, then I come to the same box, single crochet, then I come to another chain space. Let's sink into the gap and knit a single needle into another box and the other handrail into the same box again in the form of a single needle until we come to the corner point. What am I doing on this turn? I want to share it with you right away. We have reached the corner point. We immediately sink into the point where the handrail is and knit our single needle in the same box. Look right here, a chain point. I'm sinking into the chain point. I'm sinking into the box space here. I'm knitting 2 single crochets at this point. Look, I'm knitting 2 single crochets in this corner, again with the same chained point, and by sinking into the box opposite. Then insert a single needle into the box gap. Then I sink to the bottom of this banister. In the opposite piece, look at the needle that comes right up to the box we knitted. In other words, we are sinking into the same gaps. Now make single crochet needles by inserting them into the box. Here, single needles are inserted into the gap where the handrails are located. Look at the box space as we described to you as we did on the other side. Since this corner is the return, I created 2 points where I made 2 stitches. Here again, I knitted my single crochet in this way to create this corner, and we joined the base in this way. I had a short rope here, see? I removed the chain part here, and after hiding it sufficiently, I cut off the remaining rope. Now let's combine the other parts as we have described to you here. Now let's move on to making the handle part. I placed the bellows in my bag. Now we will make our handle. Here we leave a long rope to sew at the beginning and end. Let's start with the chain right away. After locking our first chain, we chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm full after 6 chains. Look, I'm turning my chain upside down again. I leave the first, second, and third chains at the beginning, drop into the fourth chain, remove the stitch, and knit a double handrail. I'm filling the next chain by sinking and filling it with a double handrail again. Next, I'm sinking and knitting a double handrail again. I created 4 handrails here. If you want to make our bag bigger, or if you want to make this handle thicker, you can increase the number of chains. I have now worked 4 handrails with the chain. How do we make our turns? We turn our knitting by stretching the light stitch. We sink directly into the first space, take out a stitch and knit a single crochet, then draw a chain. The single crochet and the chain give us a handrail. We wrap it around the next trapeze hill. We knit a handrail by sinking into the first chain that comes right away. We created our 4 points in this way. We stretch the stitch again and turn our knitting. We wrapped a single needle chain by sinking into the first space that comes up. Here, we proceed by knitting a double needle to the next handrail. After the chain, we proceed by knitting a handrail to the handrail. Last look, there is a gap of 1 chain after the single needle. At the last point, we knit single needle again by sinking into this point. Look, the ending and the beginning are like this. We ease the stitch and turn it again. We sink into the first space, single needle, a chain, then 3 handrails in order. See here, we will knit the last handrail. This is a point of 1 chain after the single needle. We knit the banister by inserting a chain into the gap and knitting it in this way. I completed it by knitting 25 rows. After knitting 25 rows, I pulled a chain and cut my thread short. Look, I prepared both stems here. Now we finish by attaching this handle to our bag. I would like to give you the size of the handle right away. I tried this for my cousin, that's why I didn't want it too big. 36 centimeters tall. Let's give him his hand. Because we have given the full measure of the others. He had a hand of 2.5 centimeters. In this way, you can now assemble it with a crochet hook or an itamine needle using the short strings we left in your bag. Let's start assembling it quickly.
We have completed it by sewing the handle to our bag. Really a very enjoyable and I hope and try it too. I wish good luck to those who will do it. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see you in the next video.